Hello everyone, today we're going to be reviewing solving equations and inequalities. This is what we did way back in Unit 1 at the beginning of the year. So the first thing we did is we solved multi-step equations. So when you are solving linear equations like this, your whole entire goal is to isolate the variable. So that means that whatever letter you have, whether it's x, y, b, you want to get it by itself. The way that you do this, there's 5 steps. So D, C, M, A, M. D for distribute, so always distribute first. Then combine like terms. Move the variable to one side. Add and subtract. And then last, you want to multiply and divide. It's important that you do it in this order. If you do it in the wrong order, you might get a wrong answer. So the way that you can remember this order, DC, MAM, is using this saying, don't call me after midnight. So that DC, MAM will correspond with this. And just remember that there are 2 types of special solutions. So if you end up with a true statement, something like 2 equals 2. Well, obviously that's true. 2 does equal 2. So when that happens, we say that the solution is all real numbers. And if you end up with a false statement, something like 2 equals 5, those are 2 different numbers. That is false. You say that there is no solution. Okay, so let's look at a few examples. Our first example is 2 times 5 minus 3x is equal to negative 8x plus 18. We want to isolate the x. So first thing we're going to do is distribute the 2. So that gives us 10 minus 6x. So that was the D. C for combine like terms, but you look at the left side and see how one has an x, one doesn't, so nothing to combine. Look on the right side, one has an x, one doesn't, nothing to combine. Next letter is M for move the variable. So see how x is on the left side and on the right side? It's on both sides. We want it to only be on one side. So that 8x, since it's negative, we're going to add it to both sides. That way it can cancel here. And let's see what we have left. So this would be 10. Negative 6 plus 8 is positive 2x is equal to 18. Okay. Then A for add and subtract. The 10 in the very front is a positive number, so we're going to subtract it from both sides. Okay, and that leaves me with 2x equals 8. And then last is that 2 in front of the x. We're going to divide to move it over to the other side, and that gives me x is equal to 4. Okay, let's look at another example. So the second one says 12m plus 10 is equal to negative 2, 4 minus 9m plus 3. So first things first is distribution anytime you see parentheses. So this negative 2 needs to get multiplied inside. So on the left side, it's going to stay the same. But on the right side, negative 2 times 4 is negative 8. Negative 2 and negative 9 gives me positive 18m. Then we still have our plus 3. Okay, now C for combine like terms. So on the left, one has an m, one doesn't. Can't combine anything. On the right, yes, this one in the middle has an m, but the other 2 do not. The other 2 are like terms. I can put them together. So on the left, it's going to stay the same, but on the right, negative 8 plus 3 is negative 5, and then I still have my 18m. Okay, now we want to rearrange. We want to move the variable to where it's only on one side. So this 18m on the right-hand side, I'm going to subtract it That way it can cancel, but I need to do that to the other side also. 12 minus 18 is negative 6m plus 10 equals negative 5. Okay, now let's move that 10. Since it's positive, we're going to subtract. So now I have negative 6m is equal to negative 15. And then last step is that negative 6. We're going to divide. So notice how it's a negative divided by a negative. So it's going to be a positive number. But the other thing is that it's not going to be a whole number. It's going to be a fraction, and that's okay. What we're going to look to see is that we can divide both of them by 3. So I can divide this by 3. I can divide this one also by 3. So that would give me 5 over 2. Okay, so that was the first thing that we learned at the very beginning of the year, how to solve multi-step equations. Okay, next thing is solving one variable linear inequalities. So it's almost the same. The goal is still to isolate the variable. But one extra thing here is that you have to make sure your answer is in order. So it should always be variable, then the symbol, then the number. So what that means is like x is greater than a number. Y is less than or equal to a number. So variable, symbol, number. Be careful with that symbol because sometimes it'll flip. So it'll start off being less than, but we need to flip it over to be a greater than. There's 3 different situations. So if you divide by a negative number, when you multiply by a negative number, or when you switch the order. Okay, and in addition to actually solving, you can put these on a number line. So just real quickly so we can remember how this goes. So x is less than 1, here's my number line. So let's say this is negative 1, this is 0, this is positive 1. You put a circle where the 1 is at, and then you want to color in the left side of that number. Okay, when it's greater than, so here's my new number line, negative 1, 0, 1, you put a circle at the 1, and then you color in the right side of that number line. Okay, the other ones are really, really similar. So the only difference here is when you put your circle at the 1, you want to color it in. But otherwise, you're still going to shade in the left side. And then for the other one, same thing. You're going to put the circle at the 1, but you're going to color it in when it has that underline. And then now we're going to shade the right side of the number line. Okay, so I have 2 examples of these as well. Let's see what we got. So 13p plus 1 is greater than 7, 3 minus p. So we still start with distribution. Let's multiply that 7 inside of the parentheses. So now I have 13p plus 1 is greater than 21 minus 7p. Check to see if you can combine any like terms, which we can't. Now we're going to move our variable. So since I have that negative p on the right side, I'm going to add 7p to both sides. So now I have 20p plus 1 is greater than 21. Now let's subtract the 1. That gives me 20p is greater than 20. And then last step is to divide by the 20. So p is greater than 1. And on a number line, let's do -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3. We put our circle at the 1. It's not underlined, so we're not going to color in the circle, but we are going to shade in the right side of the number line. So this side over here. Okay, let's look at the other example. So 8x plus 2, 9 minus x is greater than 11x plus 3. Anytime you see parentheses, let's do that first. So we're going to distribute that. 8x plus 18 minus 2x is greater than 11x plus 3. So on the left side, I can see we have some like terms. The first one and the third one both have x's, so we're going to put those together. 8 minus 2 gives me 6x, and I still have my 18, greater than 11x plus 3. Now I have x's on both sides, so let's fix that. So if I subtract 11x from both sides, that'll give me -5x plus 18 is greater than 3. The plus 18, so that's going to be the next thing. Let's subtract. -5x is greater than -15. And then last, we're going to divide by -5. So that gives me x, and then on the right side, negative divided by negative is +3. But just be very careful here. This is one of those instances where dividing by a negative number. So that means that the symbol in the middle is going to flip the other way around. X is less than 3. Okay, so on a number line, let's do 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Put a circle where the 3 is at. This is regular less than, so no underlining, no shading in, but we are going to go to the left. So that is solving inequalities. And then the last step, thing that we did in this unit was we solved literal equations. So the goal when you're solving a literal equation is to isolate a specific variable. So you're going to have more than one variable, a bunch of different letters. They will tell you which one they want you to solve for. And all the steps are the same. Distribute, combine, move, add, multiply. So first one, 3x plus 4y is equal to 24. Solve for y. So that lets me know that I know I'm done when the y is by itself. So I want to start by subtracting the 3x from both sides. So that leaves me with 4y is equal to -3x plus 24. So this one has an x and this one doesn't. That's why I couldn't put them together. And I know that 24 doesn't have anything in front, but that means it's positive. Right? And it's really only one more step. There's a 4 in front of that y, so we need to divide. But everything needs to get divided by 4. So that leaves me with y is equal to -3 over 4x plus 24 divided by 4 is 6. So that's it. That's the answer. Pretty simple. Okay, let's do another one. So I have 12x minus 15y is equal to 6. Solve for x. So we'll know that we're done when the x is all alone. So let's start by, since it's minus 15y, we're going to add 15y to both sides. So that leaves me 12x is equal to 15y plus 6. And now that 12 that's in front of the x, we are going to divide everything by 12. So that leaves me with x equals, well here 15 divided by 12 is not going to be a whole number. It's still going to be a fraction, but I can simplify it. So I know that I can divide both of them by 3. So if I do that, that'll give me 5 over 4y. And then 6 over 12, same thing. If you put that in the calculator, you're not going to get a whole number. But I can divide both of them by 6. I can simplify that fraction. So that's going to give me plus 1/2. All right, guys, and that's literal equations. So that was it for solving equations and inequalities. Let me know if you have any questions over anything.